guys, I just removed my makeup and showered. I'm currently in my new Airbnb in West Jeju. I do not want to bore all of you with too much detail, but in short, I have 8 days in Jeju. My initial plan was to book 3 different accommodations in different parts of the island so that I can visit the attractions nearby. For instance, when I'm in East Jeju, I will visit the nearby landmarks like Songsan Ichubong, Aqua Planet, Maze Land, Manjangu Cave. Likewise for South and West Jeju. Everything went according to plan for East Jeju, but for South Jeju, a lot of activities changed. The main reason is because I did not manage to hike Mount Hallasan when I was staying in my accommodation in South Jeju. It is because of bad weather conditions, and because of that, I had to change my activities and I ended up visiting all the attractions in West Jeju when I was staying in South Jeju. And so, I have visited all the attractions that I wanted to drop by, even though I just checked in to my accommodation in West Jeju. And finally, I am hiking Mount Hallasan tomorrow. I am really crossing fingers for this hike. I'm really looking forward to it.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are, and like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up, stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up, stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way.
I tried leaving. I tried to run away. I tried to justify the thought of moving on from you. I tried to clear my mind, but all I think about is you. I've been patient, I've tried to stay away. I've done all that I can to move on. Oh, but you're magnetic. Yeah, you're magnetic. You keep pulling me, pulling me, pulling me back. Yeah, you're magnetic.
Hey friends, it has been 2 months since I last hiked Hallasan and I'm now filming this back in Singapore. I actually flew out of Jeju Island the very next day, so I did not have enough time to talk about my experience in Hallasan. While there have been a lot of articles and videos to share tips to hike to the summit of Hallasan, personally I still felt very underprepared. There were a lot of little things that I did not know, and I really wanted to share with all of you so that you can be better prepared when you go all the way to Baengnokdam Peak. I'm having such a hard time pronouncing Baengnokdam Peak. Baengnokdam Peak. To give a quick background, if you are hearing Hallasan for the very first time, Hallasan is the tallest mountain in South Korea and it is located in the center of Jeju Island. According to Google, the last time the volcano erupted was thousands of years ago, so it should be technically safe for all of us to hike. I'm going to share my experience based on some frequently asked questions that I see on Google as well as on TikTok. To start off, first question. How many trails are there in Hallasan? There are several walking trails in Hallasan that leads you to different scenic points, but for the purpose of this video, I will only be talking about my hike to Baengnokdam Peak, which is the summit of Hallasan. There are 2 walking trails you can take, the Seongpanak Trail or the Gwaneumsa Trail. Second question, do I need to pay for the hike? No, you don't have to pay for any hikes in Hallasan, they are all free. But if you want to go up the Seongpanak and the Gwaneumsa Trail, you must apply for a permit. You can apply for a permit on their website. You just need to apply for the permit once and you should choose the trail that you plan to ascend from. Third question, what trail should I take? Essentially, there are 4 ways to ascend and descend from the mountain. I will just put them down over here. Seongpanak is 9.6 km in distance. It is a relatively easy hike with a gradual incline. I would say that it only gets difficult in probably the last 2 km where the paths become a lot more rocky, scary and steep. This is where your hiking poles come into play. Personally, for myself, I did not bring a hiking pole and I was suffering so freaking badly. I was literally clinging onto my life on the rocks and I was so lucky to have the 2 Korean ajushis who helped me along the way. I don't know how I could have gotten up the summit without their help. I don't think I took any kids in the last 2 km of my hike because girl here was literally dying and she cannot even save herself. A disadvantage for Seongpanak, I would say, is the lack of views. It is so long, right? The whole distance is 10 km long, but all you see are trees. I would say that it will get exceptionally boring if you are hiking alone. Gwaneumsa, on the other end, is 8.7 kilometers long. There are a lot of nice things to see in these paths like caves and bridges. You should be able to catch a sunrise too if you start your hike early because the trees in Gwaneumsa are generally shorter, I think because of the hills and the slopes. So you'll be able to see the sky and Korea sunrise is beautiful. Even though it is shorter than Seongpanak, there is a downside to Gwaneumsa, which is that this path is very difficult to walk. I would say that for the first half of the journey, you will be stepping on a lot of rocky and uneven paths, but it does get better towards the end because there are proper staircase and handrails. As you can see from my videos, I took the Seongpanak Trail up and the Gwaneumsa Trail down. It was difficult as heck, and even though I was appreciating my view down Gwaneumsa, I was also crying. Honestly, I cannot tell you which is the easiest way to get up and down because I have many other friends who took different routes and they all tell me that it's equally terrible. One thing I would stand by though, if you are going to the summit of Hallasan for the very first time, do different trails. Take a different path up and a different path down so that you can see different sceneries. What time can you start hiking? There are different opening hours for different seasons. For myself personally, I hiked in autumn, which was in November, and I chose the earliest slot, which I believe was 6 a.m. I took about 4 hours to ascend. I spent about 2 hours chilling at the summit, and I took another 7 hours to descend. Essentially, I spent the whole day in Hallasan. Do note that there are cut-off timings. Apparently, there will be a ranger at different resting spots to ask you to descend if you don't make past them after a certain timing. Even at the summit of Hallasan, they have super big loudspeakers installed to ask you to descend when it is time. My suggestion would be for you to start your hike as early as possible because you may not know what happened along the way. When you reach the summit, I'm sure you just want to spend some time there taking photos and admiring the view. After all, you took so much time to get up and you also need a lot of time to get down. Next question, what do I need to bring? If you are a foreigner, you definitely have to bring your passport or some sort of identification because they will verify your identity at the entrance. Bring your permit in your email as well. Secondly, bring proper hiking gears like hiking poles, hiking shoes, bring a jacket because it will get very cold in the summit. Thirdly, bring enough food and drink. For myself personally, I've packed a lot of snacks, water bottles, as well as bibimbap. Essentially, bring enough food that can last you one whole day. Fourthly, bring tissue and wet tissue. There are washrooms there, but there are no sinks or toilet paper. Fifthly, you must bring a portable charger. You're going to be up in the mountain one whole day, so you might want your phone to message people, to take photos, and let's say if there are emergencies, you can use your phone easily. Next question, are there restrooms there? Yes, there are. In fact, if I remember correctly, there are 2 main restrooms. These restrooms do not have sinks and toilet paper, so remember to bring all the necessities you need to clean yourself. Next question, how to get to Seongpanak and Gwaneumsa? Wow, okay, I'm going to take some time to explain this. First of all, as much as possible, go to Hallasan from Jeju City or Seongpanak. It is much shorter and cheaper to get there as compared to East Jeju and West Jeju. As you can see from the earlier part of my video, I went to Hallasan from West Jeju because I did not have a choice. Essentially, there are 3 ways to get to these trails. Firstly, you take a public bus from Jeju City or Seongpanak. Secondly, you take a taxi, and thirdly, you rent a car and you drive there. Personally, I rented a car in Jeju, but I decided not to drive and take a taxi because I did not want to be stressed on the roads at 4-5 a.m. and I don't want to spend another hour with my whole body aching driving back to my accommodation. I do have Kakao taxi, so I got my Airbnb host to book a taxi ride for me early in the morning. You can also get your hotel staff to help you with the booking. My taxi ride from West Jeju to Hallasan was 45,000 won and it took me an hour to get there. If you are going from Jeju City or Seongpanak, the travel time and cost should be half. Okay, I'm going to talk about the thing that frustrated me the most out of the whole hiking experience. Please remember to think about your transport back to your accommodation after the hike. I don't know why. I did not plan for it. You can use the same 3 ways to get back to your accommodation. Firstly, taking a public bus. Secondly, if you choose to drive to Hallasan, and let's say you park your car at Seongpanak Trail, which is the path that you ascend from but you descend at Gwaneumsa, what you can do is to take a taxi from Gwaneumsa to Seongpanak to retrieve your car. Lastly, you can take a taxi back to your accommodation. I descended very late from Gwaneumsa, which was about 6 p.m, and there was barely any public taxis left. The remaining 2 ajushis at the taxi stand were super rude. They refused to go by meter and they quoted a really expensive fare. I did not have a choice because that was my only way back to my accommodation. Not only that, they also rejected my newfound hiking friend for a ride because apparently her accommodation is not along their way. And even when both of us pleaded with them to at least call their friends to see if any of them wanted to pick my friend up, they refuse. Don't get into such vulnerable situations at the demands of these unreasonable taxi drivers. I would want to arrange a round trip with the taxi driver who have brought me from West Jeju to Hallasan. It might be something that you want to consider as well, especially when you feel safe with the taxi driver. Here's the final and most important thing to note about Hallasan. As I've mentioned earlier in my video, I initially wanted to do Hallasan when I was in Seongpanak, but because of poor weather conditions, I postponed it and I went from West Jeju instead. I later found out from other hikers that the Hallasan team has apparently been cancelling hikes because it has been raining pretty badly the past 1 week in Jeju. So I actually made the correct decision to skip my hike. If you're going Jeju and you intend to hike to Baengnokdam Peak in Hallasan. Oh my god, I still cannot pronounce it at the end of the video. You might want to go for the hike in the earlier days of the trip because it may get cancelled over reasons that you cannot control. Back to my video. Overall, Jeju has been great. I am so happy that I spent a week here and furthermore, accomplished Mount Hallasan. Oh my heart. I'm going to pack up and leave for the airport. That's it for my Jeju vlog. I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye!